Let me ask you, what can happen in 90 seconds? Can a person disappear in 90 seconds? This question has been haunting the Biggs family for 25 years. January 2nd, 1999 is a normal day for most people. However, for the Biggs family, it's the worst day of their lives. January 2nd, 1999 is the day that Mikkel Biggs of Mesa, Arizona disappeared and was never seen again. In the 25 years since her disappearance, very little evidence has showed up and no one has been charged. In the years following her disappearance, she became known as the girl who disappeared in 90 seconds due to the way it happened. Mikkel's case is very sad for many. However, many do hold hope that somewhere out there, Mikkel is still alive and is waiting to return to her family. We can only hope. This video will go over her disappearance as well as some theories in this case. While it won't help in solving it, I do hope it can help in some way. This is the disappearance of Mikkel Biggs. Mikkel Diana Biggs was born on May 31st, 1987 to Darian and Tracy Biggs. She lived in Mesa, Arizona, a suburb of Phoenix, with her parents, as well as her 9-year-old sister Kimber and 3 of her siblings. She lived in this house on Elmore Avenue. Her bedroom was the window on the left side of the front door. Mikkel was described as intelligent and a happy girl. She was someone who was always up for an adventure. She was seen as funny and could put a smile on anyone's face. Mikkel was a musician, being talented at the clarinet and piano at a young age, and was taking piano lessons at the time. She attended Limerick Elementary School as a 6th grader and Kimber as a 4th grader. She had a knack for drawing, and if she saw something or thought of something, she would draw it. She dreamed of working for Disney when she grew up, wanting to be an animator. She was an honor student at her school, being a straight-A student, and she was just seen as an amazing person. She was a tidy person who kept her room clean, in contrast to Kimber, who was dirty. Kimber had the best way to describe Mikkel. Perfect. Something I'm sure she was once jealous of and hated, but has since grown to love and honor of her big sister. She was the daughter every parent wanted, and the kid that every sibling wanted to be. Mikkel had a lot going for her, and certainly a bright future. Unfortunately, that was all about to change. January 2nd, 1999. A new year had dawned, the last year of the 1990s and the 1900s. Even though it was a year away, people were excited for the year 2000. While Christmas was over, children were still on break. On this day, Mikkel and Kimber were playing outside near their home on Tortex Street and Elmore Avenue. Mikkel played around on Kimber's new bike. This annoyed Kimber as she got it for Christmas, and Mikkel had her own bike. Eventually, that evening, as the sun was setting, the two heard an ice cream truck coming. They waited, and waited, and waited, and waited. But the truck was taking a long time. It was starting to get dark and cold. Kimber was getting cold and decided to go get her coat. Other children also got cold or bored and headed home as their parents called them. Mikkel, however, remained. Kimber left to go home. This was the last time Kimber would see her sister. When she got home, the girl's mother told him it was time to come inside. Kimber went back outside to tell Mikkel it was time to come in. But when she got to the spot she was last at, Mikkel was no longer there. All that was left was the change for the ice cream and her bike on the ground with the wheels spinning. At first, she was annoyed, thinking Mikkel left the bike there to have Kimber take it and was possibly playing a prank on her. But it didn't take long for her to figure out something was wrong. Her sister was nowhere in sight. Kimber returned home to tell her mom, Tracy. She then told her to go and check their neighboring friends, the Millers. But when she did, she wasn't there either. The Millers sent out one of their sons to go and help her, but they weren't able to find her. Their son was able to go and find the quarters. After that, he sent Kimber home to go and tell their mom. Like any parent, Tracy began to worry. Soon they called the police to investigate. The police had Kimber retrace her steps from the time she left Mikkel to the time she got home and then went back to where Mikkel was. Within 30 minutes, the police and hundreds of people in town were looking for Mikkel. They checked everywhere in the area, but the girl was nowhere to be found. They checked 35 mine shafts in the Satin Mountains, wondering if she went down them or possibly fell down. They checked dumpsters and containers. They asked ice cream vendors if they were in the area at the time of her disappearance. Scent dogs were used. A small trace was found but ended up just a few feet away. This possibly meant she was taken into a vehicle. It became clear that Mikkel wasn't playing or just wandered off. Somebody took her. Hours and days passed, and Mikkel was nowhere in sight. An investigation was made. One of the first people investigated was none other than Darian, the girl's father. Kimber was annoyed by this, knowing he had nothing to do with it. She thought it was unfair the police thought he was a suspect, all while losing his daughter. It's also possible that Darian was rather calm during the early hours and days of the investigation. Normally, when a loved one disappears, people will freak out about it. And if they don't, it often draws suspicion from the police. So if Darian wasn't really freaking out, it might have made him suspicious. It's possible Darian was questioned due to his lack of showing emotion. Now, that doesn't mean he doesn't have any emotions. He just didn't show them much openly. I'm guessing he's a man who loves his children but just never really hugged, kissed, or smiled too much. However, he wasn't clean. He said he was at work when she disappeared, but this was a lie. He also lied that he was at a friend's house at the time. Darian then admitted he was having an affair with another woman at the time. And while he failed a lie detector test, the police agreed it was due to the emotional stress. Darian was later cleared. There would be a few more suspects over time and questioned, but all were cleared. One I will get to shortly. As more time passed, so did the hopes of finding Mikkel. Her family and community held on to hope she was alive and she would come home. But soon, reality began to set in. The people of Mesa began to accept that Mikkel was likely dead. And as hard it was to accept, the Bigs came to this conclusion as well. As time went on, so did any hopes of finding Mikkel. In 2004, January 2nd, 5 years after her disappearance, her family held a funeral. There was a little white casket with nothing in it, topped with purple flowers, her favorite color. The funeral was seen as closure for her parents, especially Tracy, as it did ease the pain at least a little bit. My Heart Will Go On from Titanic played, one of Mikkel's favorite songs. Kimber blamed herself for the whole thing for years. She not only lost her sister, but her childhood. While most kids were playing games and being innocent, she had to look for her sister, have sleepless nights, and cry knowing her sister was gone. At just 9 years old, Kimber had to face the real world. Her mom told her that if she stayed out, she could have been taken, or worse, both of them. It wasn't her fault. It was the kidnapper's fault. She came to accept her older sister was likely gone, but tried to remain on the hope. When Jamie Claus, a girl who was kidnapped and found alive, it did give her a little hope that maybe one day her sister will return home. She has her own family now, making Mikkel an aunt. She once showed a picture of Mikkel to her son, and he seemed to have recognized her. This makes Kimber feel her son met her and that she was his guardian angel. She is protective of her son, and rightfully so. She has worked with the National Criminal Justice Training Center, training cops how to prevent events like this from happening, and if they do, how to manage them. The kids' parents divorced. Darian's affair, combined with the stress and agony of losing their eldest daughter, was just too much for their marriage to handle. Darian married another woman, and Tracy moved to Utah. Perhaps Meza was just too painful a memory. Every year, on her birthday, as well as the anniversary of her kidnapping, Tracy lights candles and buys some purple flowers from Mikkel to honor her memory. Well, I'm not sure, Kimber still seems to live in Meza, and maybe her siblings too. People in Meza, especially in neighborhoods right by where Mikkel disappeared, were scared. For months, many parents refused to let their children go out alone. Even as parents calmed down, they still had to wonder if the man who took Mikkel was out there, and he could take theirs too. Mikkel's case was one of the most costly in Arizona history. Helicopters searched the area. Lab tests were done. Flyer after flyer was put out. Many people were questioned and hundreds helped out as best they could. It's become a well-known case with many hoping to bring justice to Mikkel. Many people held on to hope that she's out there somewhere. While the search does go on, they are no closer to finding her. In recent years, people online have kept Mikkel's case alive, making articles, videos, and groups dedicated to her. Documentaries, such as Gone in 90 Seconds, have explored the case. Even though it's been over 25 years, people remember. Mikkel would be 37 if she were still alive today. Many theories have been made about her disappearance. One is that she was taken by a sexual predator. There was at least one who lived near the Biggs, who I will talk about shortly. Any others who might have been questioned were cleared. If she was, could she have been taken by one who lived further away? If this is the case, she might have been held in captivity. This would bring up the question if she is still being held. While it would be hard holding someone for that long, it's not unheard of. J.C. DeGard, for example, was held captive for 18 years, until she was finally freed. Mikkel might have lost her will to leave and would be too weak to fight back. Kidnappers also threaten to hurt their captor's family if they don't obey, which would lead Mikkel to listen to protect them. It would also matter if it was just one person or a group of people. Another theory is that she was taken into trafficking in Mexico and sold into child slavery. She might have been taken, sold, and forced into labor, or something else. While it's not as common in the US, it still happens. Would she still be a slave in Mexico today? If she were, would she be in labor or a sex slave? A third theory is that the supposed ice cream truck hit her. Not wanting to face manslaughter charges, the driver took her and hit her. I find this one the least likely. I've never seen an ice cream truck go more than 20 miles per hour in a neighborhood. If that. I say they usually go slower than that. An impact enough to kill her would have to do a lot of damage to the bike as well. It was supposedly a new bike, so it wouldn't have many scratches or dent on it. If someone did find out a vendor was in the area and what employee it was, hiding her would only make things worse. The first two listed theories would give the possibility that she is alive. If she were to be found or free herself, she could return home. Of course, this would also mean that she's faced 25 years of torment and trauma. She has gotten no love and is just a thing to the monster who has her. Even if she is alive, she would never be the same. Mikkel might be physically alive, but the Mikkel that everyone knew would have died a long time ago. D. Lee Blalock is a name that will always haunt the town of Meza. Blalock lived just a couple blocks down from the Biggs on Tortak Street. Neighbors said he seems friendly and went by the law, but he once raped a woman named Susan Quintet. This made Blalock the main suspect. He claimed he was watching a football game in his garage at the time the kidnapping happened, which his wife confirmed. However, his wife also said she wasn't sure if he was watching it at the exact moment. His house was searched and nothing odd was found. While they wanted to search a trailer, they didn't have a search warrant for it. I'm not sure if they ever used a dog to go and sniff it out either. The Biggs asked Blalock while in prison for the rape crime if he took their daughter, but he maintained his innocence. Blalock was also seen in a video for a block watch for Mikkel 10 years after she disappeared. In the video, Blalock says,
"And I see that you're living next to me, and I see something suspicious going on, I guarantee you, I'll be calling 911.
However, several months after Mikkel disappeared, he claimed he was innocent of sexually harassing a neighbor. Evidence said otherwise, and he was arrested. Today, Blalock is serving a 187-year sentence for attacking a neighbor. He still maintains he's innocent of the Mikkel case, despite having nothing to lose at this point. The Big family, the people of Meza, and some people interested in the case believe he is responsible for her disappearance. Susan even agreed to drop her charges against him if he just confessed, but he still maintained he was innocent. People tend to believe he had hidden her in his trailer and disposed of her when no one was looking. But still, there was no evidence and he was cleared. Some want to talk with him again and about that old video. Blalock has his own kids, and some would like to know how he would feel if his kid was missing for 25 years, with no answers. Could a guilt trap like this work against him and make him confess? As of right now, there is no information this idea has happened yet. Years had passed. While many people still hoped for Mikkel, many others had moved on. The Biggs family had grown up and were doing different things now. But on March 14th, 2018, something strange happened. In the town of Neenah, Wisconsin, a man walked into the police lobby with a dollar bill he found in the collection of money for Girl Scout cookies. On it, it had a shocking message. It read, "My name is Mikkel Biggs, kidnapped from Meza, Arizona. I'm alive." This was shocking. It seemed for the first time in years there was evidence in this case. This brought back hopes for the people who knew about Mikkel. Was she truly alive? This was seen as a breakthrough for some in the case. However, there were doubts. The Meza police weren't sure if it was real or not. Even if it was, there would be no way to trace it, as many people will leave their fingerprints on a dollar. The Biggs family was also skeptical. For one, the first name was misspelled, missing an L and an E. They also thought the handwriting looked as if someone tried to write it like a child. Because of this, they thought it was fake and just a mean prank by someone. However, this has led to theories. Some people think the name being misspelled could be due to the note being written in a rush. If Mikkel is being held in captivity, it's possibly she always has close eyes on her, and maybe only has seconds to go and write this down. When people are in a hurry or are panicking, they do tend to misspell even easy words. If Mikkel did write this down, she didn't have time to go and spell check it. Just it was readable. Mikkel is also an uncommon name. I personally have never met a Mikkel before. Even doing a Wikipedia search only brings up one person. And unless her full name is Kimberly, even Kimber is a rather uncommon name too. In fact, the name Mikkel isn't even listed on Beyond the Name. That's how uncommon it is. Another possibility is that she's received head trauma and emotional stress. All those years of torment have hurt her cognitive skills, up to the point where she doesn't even remember how to spell her name. As for the handwriting, people say this could be due to the fact that Mikkel was a child when she was taken. If she's been in captivity, she probably hasn't written a lot of things for years. She hasn't had a formal schooling to let her handwriting improve. Most people's handwriting improves throughout their school year. If you were to go and check your schoolwork when you were an 11-year-old, it would probably look different from the handwriting you have as an adult. While Mikkel might be an adult, she would still have the education of a 6th grader. Of course, if this was legit, there would be no way to trace the dollar. It remains a mystery if it's real or not, but the cops and Bix lean on fake. Mikkel's disappearance is one of the most baffling. Detective after detective have worked on the case, but have nothing. There are little clues aside from the chains, the bike, and the possible dollar. Many kidnap cases will usually have some good clues, even if it turns up to nothing, but there isn't anything here. The closest thing to witnesses were Kimber and a man in a car who passed by before Mikkel was captured, but no one actually saw it happen, despite it being a good-sized neighborhood. No one heard Mikkel scream. No one heard a man yell. No one heard a car going fast down the road, and it all happened in 90 seconds. One might argue with this too. The abductor had to wait for Kimber to leave. If he took Mikkel when Kimber was still in earshot or could see him taking her, the cover would be blown. Kimber would have gotten there seconds earlier to see Mikkel being dragged away. So it might actually be less than 90 seconds. Nobody has seen or heard of Mikkel since. In many kidnap cases, people will claim they have seen the missing person, even if they are years older. I'm not sure if there have been any Mikkel sightings though. The Mesa police did say they have a person of interest in early 2024, but nothing has come up since. There is currently a documentary in development by Feld Films that will tell the story. Kimber is working on it, and family members and detectives will also play a part. Maybe something like this could finally bring some light into this case. Kimber hopes that this will keep Mikkel's case alive as well as help other families who've had similar stories. I hope so too. Despite this case being the most costly in Arizona history, I don't see it discussed as much as other people's missing cases. People like Asa Degree, Lars Matink, Mara Murray, Andrew Gosden, Madeline McCann, Michaela Gordant, and Morgan Nick seem to get more attention, which they do all deserve attention so they can be solved, but I think Mikkel needs just as much as they do. Hopefully it will be a successful documentary and raise awareness, and maybe solve this once and for all.
Hope until there's evidence found saying otherwise. There's always hope that somebody knows where he is.
In April of 2001, Becky Kleino's 20-year-old son disappeared from his Skidmore home.
I don't know what happened. I don't know.
The town of Skidmore, Missouri is probably like a lot of very small towns in America. Everyone knows each other, young residents would rather live anywhere else, and it has that old-fashioned feel. Located on the northern western part of the state, most probably have never even heard of it, even Missourians. It's almost 150 years old, but doesn't even have 250 residents. It's the kind of town you wouldn't pass by on a road trip, only maybe stopping to fill up on gas, or drop by on one of those eerie diners. However, the town is known for its dark history. But this thing isn't a monument or restaurant like many small towns have, but a missing person. Branson Perry grew up here. He went to the local high school and took up Hapkido. By all accounts, Branson wasn't the person to make enemies. He was quiet and kind. So this makes his disappearance upsetting. But on April 11th, 2001, Branson did just that. It was a simple walk to the shed to drop off something, but he never came back. It's been over 24 years. Some of his loved ones have passed away, but his case goes on. Despite hundreds of leads and some suspects, the case remains unsolved. So, how does a nice, quiet, small town boy just disappear? This is a story on how a young man vanished on his own lawn, dropping off something. This is the disappearance of Branson Perry. But before I begin, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications as well. Branson was born on February 24th, 1981, to Bob Perry and Becky Kleino. He grew up in the small town, spending his whole life there. His house was located at 304 West Oak Drive on a small little street. It wasn't the most exciting place to live, but it was home. He was described as being a rather quiet person, but also adventurous. He wasn't really social, but did have a local group of friends. He was seen as helpful and respectful to the adults around him. While he was usually quiet, he could be funny once someone grew to know him. He went to Norway Holt High School, and did well, graduating in 1999. He had a black belt in Hapkido, where he showed discipline and focus. However, he wasn't an athlete, still being a laid-back guy. His parents were divorced, which was a little hard on him, like any kid, but came to accept it. Despite this, he had a good relationship with both of them. He also had health problems. Branson had a heart condition called tachycardia, which made his heart go fast. It would sometimes make him tired and lighthearted. Thankfully though, it wasn't life-threatening. He took up some odd jobs after school, such as working at a petting zoo and roofing. In the days before he disappeared, friends said he seemed distracted and trying to figure out his life. He talked about getting a new job, moving to a new city, and even joining the Navy. He didn't drink much, but there were rumors he did drugs. That wasn't the only rumor. Some friends think he was probably gay or bi, but this was never confirmed. Not long before he disappeared, his father had to go to the hospital for heart surgery and was his caretaker and house cleaner. This would lead to his disappearance. Overall, Branson was a quiet, nice, responsible, and wondering what to do with his adult life. It was possible soon he would figure out what to do, but that would never happen. Branson would never get to figure out what to do with his life. Soon, he would be gone forever, and all it took was a trip to his shed. April 11th, 2001. It started like any other spring day. The people in Skidmore went about their day. Branson would be busy this day. Soon, his father would be discharged from the hospital in St. Joseph, so he was getting the house ready for his return. He was excited to have him back, though maybe a little tired from all the hard work lately. Bob's gray Chevy Astro van was having electrical problems at the time, so Branson hired some mechanics to come look at it. They arrived that morning as Branson worked on his house, occasionally checking in. Branson's friend, Gina Crawford, came to help him that day. They would spend the day cleaning. Gina would later admit to the police both of them did meth that day. At 3 o'clock, Branson told Gina he needed to go to the shed in the yard to get some jumper cables. This would be the last time she or anyone would see him alive. No one heard a struggle. No one heard a car. There was just nothing. There seems to be confusion when it comes to Gina. Did she just stay in the house when he didn't return and later leave? Or did she leave when he left? He was reported 6 days later by his parents. But she didn't say anything? It seems Branson told her he had other stuff to do as well. She saw him put the cables in the shed and left. So maybe she thinks he lost track of time and forgot about her, so she left. The next day his grandma visited. She was confused to find the door unlocked and he wasn't there. His dad's car was there and personal items. He left no notes. But she didn't panic and didn't report him. As days passed, people began to wonder where he is. Calls go unanswered and no one has seen him. By the 17th, both Bob and Becky became concerned when no one has seen him. They officially reported him as missing. The local police went on a 15-mile search to find him. They looked around the house, neighbors, and nearby roads and found nothing. There was no sign of a struggle in the house or shed. They then looked at abandoned buildings, fields, farms, and more, but came up empty. Search dogs were used, but could not find a scent. His personal items were in the house, and no money seemed to be gone. Oddly enough, the jumper cables were not in the shed, but weeks later, they were again in their proper place. It seems no fingerprints were ever found. It seemed Branson didn't have his own car, so if he went somewhere, it would have to be his dad's car, or walking. Branson was just gone. His family said this was unlike him. He tried to keep in touch with his loved ones. His family was confused and heartbroken. His father felt guilty he couldn't help, as he was still recovering. His mom tried to get the media involved to take it more seriously. Friends helped by looking and putting up posters. Neighbors, Gina, the mechanics, and others were interviewed. They gave as much details as they could. Gina did say Branson took something out of the cabinet, ran out, and didn't tell her what he did when he returned. One of the mechanics was looking in the cabinet and told her they were looking for nothing. Next, Branson went to the shed to return the cables and would come back, and she never saw him again, nor the mechanics. One neighbor had supposedly drugged him and had sex with him after Branson agreed, but Branson confessed to his father he felt like he was taken advantage of. Still, there was nothing. It's been almost 25 years now, and Branson is still gone. How could a man just disappear, putting away cables? Did he secretly run away? Or is there something darker? Branson's family never stopped looking. Despite being sick, Bob did as best as he could. His mom never gave up, getting any help she could. Sadly, this wasn't the only tragedy that struck the family. Bob would pass away in 2004 from his condition. Sad that his son was still gone and could do nothing to help. Becky would continue to search looking with people and writing a blog called Bring Branson Home. She died in 2011. Her obituary stated her son died before her. It seems she accepted he was probably gone. His grandma died in 2015, but this wasn't the worst. This family not only had a disappearance, but a murder. Branson's cousin and grandma's granddaughter, Bobby Jo Stinnett, was murdered on December 16th, 2004. She was born on December 4th, 1981, and was 23 years old and pregnant. She went to the same high school as Branson. Bobby met a young woman named Lisa Montgomery at a dog show and talked on a dog chat room called Ratter Chatter. Lisa said she wanted to sell a dog to her, and they agreed to meet. While at her house, Lisa strangled her and then cut her baby out. Bobby's mom found her daughter dead and called the police. Lisa told her husband she gave birth and she named the child Abigail, but police would arrest her, and a DNA test would prove it was not hers. In 2007, she was found guilty and sentenced to death. She was executed in 2021. The baby was returned to her father and named Victoria. It's insane to think that this family had two people who had a bad fate. One murdered and one unknown. Bobby was brutally murdered and her baby was kidnapped, where Lisa intended to raise it as her own. Branson disappeared and was never seen again. It's amazing to see this small town that doesn't even have 300 people had two crimes on the same family. Branson just wanted to help take care of his father. Like many young men, he had ideas, but chose to help. But despite all the leads, his case remains unsolved. However, there are theories. Some people think they do know what happened to him, but what is it? Some have guessed maybe Branson ran away. Maybe he was tired of the small town life and wanted to start a new one. But Branson wasn't that kind of person. He was taking care of his father and was looking forward to have him back. While he did think about moving at one point, he was happy. He didn't take any of his belongings as well. Maybe he crossed the wrong person. Maybe he was abducted by a stranger, or saw something he wasn't supposed to see. Though he didn't have enemies, and stranger abductions are more common on women. In 2004, a man named Jack Rain Rogers was questioned. He worked at a church and had a criminal past, including kidnapping and assault, and lived close to the area. He tried to perform an unlicensed surgery on someone, but what struck most were stories he wrote about a young blonde male hitchhiker in northwest Missouri who gets murdered. A necklace similar to one Branson owned was found. He denied involvement though, and never enough evidence was found.
Of course, Branson was in much better shape than he was, and even Branson's mother would later admit that she doesn't believe he was involved.
He was sentenced to prison for 30 years for another crime. Still, many think he knows something. There's also the drug theory. Maybe he took some and overdosed, and the buyer freaked out and took him. It's also said there was a drug house not too far off where people bought some. One witness said they might have seen him near the house that day. The house burned down sometime between April 11th and April 16th. Some believe he was murdered and his body was cremated in there, leaving no evidence. But there was no proof he had an addiction. Skidmore also has a rather dark history. In 1981, a man who was a bully named Ken Rex McElroy was murdered on Main Street in front of 60 witnesses, but everyone claims they didn't see a thing. Some think there are residents who know something but keep quiet to protect themselves or family. Investigators have supposedly gotten conflicting stories. In 2024, a new lead came up. Two witnesses said that they think there was a body buried in Quitman, a town not far off, but the area they pointed to was checked and nothing was found. The police do have suspects, but not enough evidence for an arrest. So, was it foul play? Drug-related? Running away? We may never know. Still, police and loved ones haven't given up and take up whatever leads they get. Maybe it's something not looked at yet. Hopefully a promising lead will come up soon and help this case. Branson would be almost 45 today. It was supposed to be a simple walk to the shed. He told Gina he would return, but he never did. Branson was a young man. Still fresh out of school, with his whole life ahead of him. Instead, he wound up on a missing poster. While there are multiple leads, there is nothing strong enough to make an arrest. His killer is still out there, maybe even plotting another victim. Branson's parents never lived to see their son come back, or even his case overall solved. What makes it sadder is this family had more tragedy, with Bobby a few years later. Could both Branson and Bobby's case be connected? Branson's case didn't get national news when it first happened, but in more recent years it has gotten more interest, especially online. Maybe the right person online could find the missing clue. Many have done so before, so maybe it will happen to Branson.
Branson Perry's friend Gina is doing what she can for him.
The family, and I feel like it needs to stay in the media to let everyone know that we haven't gave up and we are still looking for him and for answers. Branson doesn't just leave and not come back. That's just unlike him. We did a lot of things together. We were pretty much inseparable for a long time. Branson was always barefooted. Always. Or he might have some flip-flops on.
The memories are some medication, but they don't take the sting out of not knowing what happened, where Perry is.
We want answers. And I don't honestly think that it will ever get easier and bring Branson home to where I have a place to go see him. His brother has a place to go see him.
But what do you think? Do you think any of the listed theories happened, or do you have your own? What do you think of Bobby's case? Do you think this case is solvable? Let me know down below. Hopefully, soon, it will be. And remember kids, don't do drugs, okay?
Can you tell me how you got through these past 4 years?
Hope and praying.
Hope and praying. You said you would pray and cross yourself every night.
Yes.
And what would the prayer be?
That one day my parents would find me and I'd be reunited with them.
When a person disappears, time plays a crucial factor. The earlier a person is reported as missing, the more likely they are to be found. But as time passes, the chances drop significantly. If a person is gone for 24 hours, there is alarm, but investigators still have hope. If someone is missing for 48 hours, they start to become concerned. The first 48 hours are the best time to gather clues. Anything the suspect might have left behind can still be gathered and tested before the suspect destroys it or natural causes do. It's also the best time for witnesses, as someone might forget after that. It's also important as the suspect might be getting far away. Of course, investigators want to get an early a start as possible. Hours or even moments is better. This is especially true for certain adults and children. They are often targets for ransom or worse. As days, months, and years pass, so do chances of finding them. Police will continue, but have little hope. Families too might have to go and accept their loved one is gone, but sometimes people do return. Days or months after missing, they might be rescued or escape and come back home. But it's more rare when it's been years. When most people have accepted the person is dead and moved on. It's rare, but it happens. This is the story of a boy who was missing for 4.5 years. A boy most thought was dead, but his family tried to hold on. A boy who fought through hell for years and lived to tell it. This is the story of Sean Hornbeck. But before I begin, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications as well. Sean was born on July 17th, 1991, to his mother Pam and his father. He had two older sisters, Jennifer and Jackie. His father was a convicted sex offender who died in 2000, and they were divorced. Pam remarried a man named Craig Akers not long before her former husband's death, and Sean got a stepfather. He lived in Richward, Missouri, a small town not too far from St. Louis. Before his abduction, he attended Richward Elementary as a 5th grader. He was described as a happy boy who liked to help people, play with friends, play video games, spend time with his parents, and more. He was described as a quiet person, but not a loner or troublemaker. He did average in school, and in most ways was an average boy. He had about as much freedom and independence as other kids during the time before more parents became protective. But for his parents, this was about to change. Little did they know, they wouldn't see their son for over 4 years. On October 6, 2002, around 1 o'clock, Sean asked his parents if he could go outside and ride his bike. His parents saw no harm in doing so. Nothing had happened before. All they told him was to be back by dark. His mom kissed him goodbye and he went off. So he rode his bike, enjoying his Sunday afternoon. For the next few hours, his parents sat at home, not expecting anything. His parents wanted him home by 5 o'clock. As the hour passed, they began to grow worried. They went out, but couldn't find him. They called the police, and a search was called. Being 2002, Amber Alerts were still new and not used in all states yet. Police searched many areas around, such as rivers, abandoned buildings, caves, and more. But there was no trace of him. Even his bike was missing. Hours turned to days. Days turned to weeks. Police and Sean's parents began to feel the worst. Within months, many believe him to be dead. His parents do interviews, hoping someone saw something and looking brave. But behind cameras, they were depressed. They would hold candlelight vigils for him. Flyers were put up around the area. Sean was just gone. They knew it was an abduction from the start. There were no signs of Sean being unhappy with his life, so being a runaway was ruled out. But finding him without evidence was almost impossible. There were no witnesses, no sightings, no ransom notes. Many tips did come up, but all led to nothing. Like with any missing persons case, as time passed, so did attention from the media and public. Most people returned to their normal lives, while Pam and Craig were frozen. They knew there were two possibilities. He was either dead or alive. For many, it was the former. After all, most missing children never come back alive after missing for months or years. But they were wrong. Sean was alive. He would return home, and it would take another kidnapping to bring him home. January 8th, 2007. By this time, Sean had been gone for 4.5 years. There was never a reason to believe he would return, but that was about to change. 13-year-old Ben Omby from Viewport was getting off the bus from school and going home. However, he didn't return home that evening. By past 4 o'clock, his parents grew worried. They called the police and a search was called, but they would soon get some information that would prove to be crucial. 15-year-old Mitch Holtz would tell the police he saw Ben around 3:30. He also said he saw Ben close to a truck with a camper top, 2-hitch trailer, and either rust or dirt on the fender. However, he couldn't remember the plate. Despite this, police saw it as a good start. They described the truck on alerts in hopes someone saw something like it. They wouldn't have to wait long. A man named Mike Prosperi was sure he saw a truck exactly like the one described. Prosperi worked at the Emo's Pizza restaurant as an owner. During his time there, he knew a man named Michael Devlin. Devlin was a manager at the Emo's, as well as a part-time worker at a funeral home. He didn't have a record and was never a suspect. No one had ever suspected Devlin of ever being a bad person. By all accounts, he seemed like a good man. He came to work, did his job, and was friendly. Around the time Ben disappeared, Devlin left work saying he was sick. Parks probably found this odd, as he never did this. He also noticed the truck had road dust from the country on it, despite being from the bigger city, and saying he went straight home. This information, all about his truck, was sent to the FBI. On January 13th, a couple agents talked to him soon after. They knew quickly something was off from his body language as they spoke. When talking, he spoke of his godson Sean, but they knew he was lying. The FBI told him they have evidence to suspect he took Ben. At this, Devlin broke down and admitted to kidnapping Ben, and that Sean was not his godson. With that, Devlin was taken into custody. At first, police had no reason that this Sean was the Sean, but no less, they had two boys to rescue, and they set off to save them. They race to the apartment and go in. There, sitting on a couch, playing a video game, is Ben Ombie. He is overjoyed to see them. He was a little tired, but ran up and told who he was. He was let off and they turned their attention to the older boy in the room. They asked if his name was Sean and he nodded. They then asked for his last name. Sean told them it was Hornbeck. The police were shocked. They and everyone had every reason to believe Hornbeck was long dead. He had been missing for almost 5 years, but there he was, sitting in the flesh. Sean was just as shocked as they were. The boys were asked if they felt okay and were checked to see if they were injured and healthy. There were more questions after, but soon it was time for the boys to return home. Ben's parents were called and they were thrilled to know he was safe. With that, they rushed over to the sheriff's office the boys were at. But now came the moment of truth. The police called Sean's parents next. They told them they were sure they found Sean alive and was now safe. Pam and Craig were in disbelief. They too rushed over to where he is, a million emotions going through them. Ben reunites with his parents in a happy reunion. Soon, Sean is reunited with his. His mom hugs him in tears, not daring to let go. Craig joined in, thinking this moment would never happen. The emotions are overwhelming as Sean and his parents embrace for what seems like forever. The coverage of the boys' rescue is broadcast on major news stations across the country. Everyone is in a wall, as Sean is alive. For everyone, there is just one word to describe it. A miracle. For 4.5 years, Sean's parents had to live through the pain of what happened to their son, not knowing if he was alive or dead. But that was all gone. Sean was home. But there were still questions. Who was the man who took him and Ben? And what happened to Sean during those lost years? Sometimes the truth is harsh. After Sean was rescued, it was almost time for him to return to a normal life. But before he could do that, he had some answers to give. Police wanted to know what exactly happened to him during those lost years. The truth was not easy to hear. Sean told police the day he was abducted. Unlike most abductions like this, Devlin didn't forcefully take Sean, but rather tricked him. He seems like a reasonable adult. But as soon as Sean got in his truck, his life changed for the worst. At the apartment for the first several days, he was bound and gagged. He left him like this when he went to work. Around Halloween, Devlin planned on killing Sean and tried to strangle him. But Sean pleaded with his life. Devlin with the least humanity he had, let him live. But on one condition. Sean was to live with him. He was to pretend to be his son and never leave. If he did, Devlin promised to kill him and his family. To protect his parents and himself, Sean agreed to stay. So Sean stayed in his apartment locked up. Throughout these 4.5 years, Sean was abused physically. He was sexually abused during his time, experiencing something no one should. At one point, Devlin allowed Sean to make friends. He made a friend with a boy named Tony Douglas. The Douglas family thought Devlin was his father and were told Sean's mother was killed by a drunk driver. They had no reason to believe otherwise. Devlin seemed like a good dad, giving Sean what he wanted. Despite always having a chance to, Sean never told the family who he was. They even saw his picture on TV once. But Sean said it wasn't him. That's how much control Devlin had on him. Sean did twice send some emails to the website his parents made, asking if they were still looking for him. He used his first name and Devlin's last name to refer to himself. His parents never replied to it. When Ben was taken, Sean believed his time was up. Ben was a replacement for him, as Sean wasn't young enough anymore. He thought he was going to die. While Ben's time there was short, he too was threatened and sexually abused. While he was scared, he wasn't broken down like Sean was. But for Sean, he had 4.5 years stolen from him. He would never get them back. Devlin was arrested and charged with sexual abuse, kidnapping, and attempted murder. He originally pleaded not guilty, but evidence was against him and he would change it to guilty in October 2007, before the real trial even started. For Sean and Ben, this was good, as they didn't want to go up and explain what their time was like. After his plea, Devlin got his sentence. He was sentenced to 72 life terms, plus 170 years in prison. Everyone took a breath in belief. Devlin would be behind bars for the rest of his life and would never harm another child. It was all over. Both boys returned to their lives. For Sean, it was a bit harder, due to how long he was gone. He reunited with friends, went back to his old hobbies, and went back to school for the first time since 2002. It wasn't going to be easy for him, but he would do it. Sean would go back to his old life, even though it would never truly be normal again. In 2010, he graduated high school. Sean and Ben's stories became known as the Missouri Miracle. Is there any other way to say it? Most people who are gone for as long as he was never return home. They are either buried or never seen again. Families go on for years, not knowing what happened to their loved one, but Sean did. Let's hope there are more like this. It's been almost 20 years since Sean and Ben were saved. Sean's case is a rare one, but also sad. While he did survive, he still had to live with the trauma of it. Both he and his parents needed therapy to adjust to normal life again. Sean experienced something no kid should experience, or any person for that matter. It showed that kidnapped children aren't always chained up forever, as Sean did have freedom. It showed why escape isn't so easy. It showed long-term captors can recover fine. His case changed things like how guardianship verifications work at schools, stronger emphasis on control, training educators on red flags, and support for the Amber Alert. Sean's parents would form the Sean Hornbeck Foundation after he was rescued. It focuses on child safety, abduction prevention, supporting families of missing children, and teaching children on how predators manipulate trust. It also teaches how predators can appear normal, how grooming works, and why kids can't escape. His case gave other families hope. Just because someone is missing doesn't mean they will never return. However, cases like his are rare, really rare. So, while it's good to hold on to hope, it's just as important not to cling on to it. Because if they are found dead or never found, it will feel even worse because of false hope. Like Sean, Ben returned to a normal life and mostly stayed out of public eye. Today, he would be about 31. Sadly, Craig passed away in 2019 from bladder cancer. At least he got to be reunited with his son. Most parents of long-term missing kids don't get that. He was 57. People have always wondered if Devlin kidnapped any other kids. While investigators suspected he might have, there was no evidence and he never admitted to any more. Let's hope Sean and Ben were the only two. Today, Sean lives a mostly normal life, having only done a few interviews since, mostly in the early years. He is now 34. Sean would say something that kept him alive was thinking of his family. He thought of how his family would react if he died and was found and how it would devastate him. If he stayed alive, maybe he would see them again. Should other captives do this, even if it's longer than he was held? What happened to Sean was a miracle. To quote Al Michaels' famous 1980 phrase, "Do you believe in miracles?" Yes.
There was a time when I was thinking about giving up, but then I just thought of what they was doing and searching for me and looking for me. And then I knew they wasn't giving up, so I figured I shouldn't. I felt their hope and love.